Hey comic fans, welcome back to the Comic Fix. Now today I'm going to be reviewing I, Vampire issue number 15. I just love the opening pages. The opening scene is Andrew Bennett and his group at the Van Helsing's castle. Now in the DC Comics, or the DC Universe, the Van Helsing's is not just a person, but it's a whole organization. You can think of them almost like the League of Assassins, but this one's for vampires. So you got Andrew Bennett and his group just hovering above this castle. And I love though the conversation that's happening between Andrew Bennett and the two people that are with him. And one of the guys says, "I'm all going for, a kamikaze, but is this the right move for us to do, Andrew?" And I just love Andrew. He's just saying, "Believe in me and we'll get through this." And just the whole action scenes that happen at this part are just so fantastic. Everything flows so well. There's this one great part as they're bombarding the castle. You see these two guards, they're just standing there. And one of them turns and his eyes get really big and he sees a dog. Now, Andrew Bennett, he gave his vampirism to a dog. And just that whole scene was just so fantastic. See the dog just jump up at the guards and get bigger and bigger. It's just so freaking cool. There's so many cool ideas in this book that just bring something new and fresh to the whole vampire type of book line. And then there's another section in there, another storyline going on with Mary Blood and her group going on to Andrew Bennett's old house and trying to figure out who is the first sire for Andrew Bennett. And that whole storyline, it has a different flow to what Andrew Bennett's going for. And Andrew Bennett's side is more action, and Mary Blood is more of a mystery. And just the way that they incorporate each part into this issue is really freaking fantastic. I gotta say, if you're a person who is really into, or not even into vampires, and has really been turned off by what is happening in Hollywood with the Twilight series, and you don't want to get into vampire books, just know that this is such a cool and interesting take on the vampire, and all the stuff that they can do. There's even points in there where the older the vampire is, they got this power where, like, if they're about to get into a fight, they could, like, basically make themselves into like a mist, and it's just so freaking cool. The ideas in this book are just so great. There is one negative in this book, and it's not for any of the plot lines or the artwork. It's just that this issue was not new reader friendly. There's one thing I like to incorporate and tell people if it's new reader friendly or if it's a good jumping on point. This issue was not a good jumping on point. It did not give you any information about what happened in the previous issues. So if you're a new reader coming in, you're going to be totally lost. But if you could get past everything that's happened and just enjoy what's in front of you, you're going to really enjoy it. It got a lot of action, good character development, and a storyline that keeps you guessing. And isn't that what you want out of your comic? Because I know that's what I want out of my comic. So in the end, I'm going to give I, Vampire, issue number 15, a 4 out of 5. The next book I'm going to be reviewing is Justice League Dark, issue number 15. Now, in issue number 14, we got a side of Justice League Dark that I really haven't seen in quite a while, where it is the fun side. Now, will they be able to keep with the fun side with Justice League Dark, issue number 15? Well, let's open it up and see. I love the opening pages of this book. You see this long tower, and this one little guy just on top of it, and he's going down, and you see in the description below that there has been a magical, something magical has happened, and he's going to go and investigate it. And it really makes you wonder what the hell is going on. And then you see what actually is really going on. And Zatanna and Tim Hunter, who were basically zapped into a dimension that we did not know of, is now here. And we don't know where they're at. And I just love how when they basically come out of like a haze kind of thing, and it's just like you're wondering what kind of world are they in. Instantly, this big old foot comes down and basically almost crushes Zatanna and Tim. And when I saw this big old foot, I could not help but to think of Saga issue number, I think it was the last couple issues, with that big old monster, or big old giant with his big old testicles. And I was hoping, God, oh God, I cannot get that image out of my mind. I think every single time now when I see a big old giant, I'm going to think of that image of that big old giant with the big old testicles and small penis. Just that image alone of Saga just, I cannot get out of my mind. So we see this big old monster, and Zatanna uses her backward magic on it. And when she does, the magic is so much more powerful in this dimension that they're in than it's ever been in the regular Earth Prime. And you just see her eyes, Zatanna's eyes, when she's using all this power. It's like the first time that, as they say, ultimate power corrupts. I forget how that saying goes. But it's true that this power that she's having, you just see this look in her eyes that she's like, oh my God, I could do whatever I want. I am so much more powerful here. And she basically banishes this giant. And you see Tim just looking at what Zatanna has done. And basically she just looks at him and she just tells him, you should try this for yourself. It is freaking amazing. Well, the thing you gotta know about Tim Hunter, is that when, I guess in the early issues of Justice League Dark, he gave up his magical abilities. And I know that in the future of this series he's going to get his powers back, but I just like the idea that he gave it all away, and now he's in this place where it's like all the power that you can ultimately have is just right at the grasp of your hands, and he still does not want that power, which is actually kind of noble for the guy. And then you jump into the Earth Prime with John Constantine. And John Constantine trying to figure out how can he open up the portal to go to where Zatanna and Tim are. And so he gets the bright idea. He thinks that it was in Tim's DNA that opened up the portal. So he went and he got, John Constantine went and got Tim's father. And I love this, just how sly you see John Constantine being in this whole, in Jeff Lemire's hands. And I love how when they're going into the facility that the portal or the books of magic are being held, and Tim's father is just like, you lied to me, you son of a bitch. You said my son was here. And you just basically just see John Constantine be like, you know what, just shut up. I got you to the place I needed you to be, and I don't need you anymore. And I just like the whole dynamic of John Constantine with the other teammates around him. Yes, he is a bastard. And I've said that so many times about John Constantine. But seeing him just going with the group, and you just find that he is finally starting to actually care about the other characters around him, is actually really cool to see. Even though he will never admit it. And then we jump back into Zatanna and Tim. And after all this power that she used on this giant, the guy that we saw at the first panel who jumped off the building, he is now there to basically put Zatanna and Tim into prison. And he's like, in this world, in this dimension, you cannot use magic. Using magic is like going and killing somebody. You cannot do it. And she uses her powers, and it looks like she's about to kill this guy. And you just got Tim in the background just being like, no, stop. And I just love how, with this ultimate power, just corrupting Zatanna. And she just always has Tim there in the background. It's just being like, no, you cannot do this. Well, the guard basically gets one lucky shot and hits Zatanna. And then all these, as Zatanna's on the ground and Tim's right by her, all these like hands come and grab her. And you're thinking, oh my God, what is actually happening? and they suck her to the ground. Suck both of them into the ground, and you see that they're in this place where the guard cannot go to, and there's all these mystical creatures there. And you're just like, what kind of world are they in? The artwork in here just depicting all this stuff that's happening is so freaking beautiful. And one of the things I always love about Justice League Dark is that the way that they incorporate the magic and the way that the coloring goes with it, it just brings a different flavor than anything that you get with any of the other DC comics. And that's the one thing that DC Comics gets right over Marvel Comics is the magic use of the abilities of everybody in their universe. Where Marvel, I just figure that they really don't have a grasp on what the people can and cannot do. But it feels like in DC Comics they have more of a grasp on what their characters can do. And then we jump back into John Constantine, and basically what he did, he took the blood of Tim's father, and he basically unlocks the portal that was only Tim could open. Basically, he needed the DNA of a close relative of Tim's to open up the portal. And they go into the portal is John Constantine, Black Orchid, Dead Man, and Frankenstein. And when they go into this portal, just like what happened with Zatanna with her powers being so changed, how will it change the whole other members of Justice League Dark? And that is where the book got really freaking fun. You see that John Constantine, he cannot lie anymore, and it was a little bit corny kind of the way that the writing was of it, but it was kind of funny all at the same time. And then you got Black Orchid. Black Orchid, one thing you gotta know about her is that she is able to utilize the power of the red and the power of the green, and she's basically a mix. And I don't know what's going to happen with her, but in this dimension she basically transforms into basically what looks like a swamp thing, and it's just so freaking cool to see. And then you see Dead Man, he becomes back alive, and Xanadu, Madame Xanadu, she is immortal. But she gets into this dimension and she grows older and older and older by the second. It was so freaking cool to see. So much fun, and it makes you wonder what the hell is going to happen. There is one scene in here that's just so freaking cool and so freaking funny all at the same time, and sad, that you see at the end that just made you go, oh my god, I cannot wait to read the next issue. This issue was freaking fun. It had everything I wanted. Great writing, great action, just some great everything. The artwork is great. The writing by Jeff Lemire is fantastic. The plotting. This series got better and better and better as it's gone on. There's nothing more that I love than a good comic book, and this one is fantastic. This issue was definitely one of the best that Jeff Lemire has done with Justice League Dark, and it just keeps on getting better. This is a start of a new story arc, and it's called The Death of Magic, and it's just part one of, I think, probably going to be about a 6-part series. Go pick this issue up. Start with this one. You will not be disappointed. It is fantastic. A 5 out of 5. The last book I'm going to be reviewing in this video is Batman Inc. issue number 6. Now, this is written by Grant Morris and art by Chris Burnham. It is so fantastic. There's one thing that I've really have noticed about Grant Morris. It is that when he's writing and he's on top of his game, he's on top of his game. But if he's not, he's doing crap like how he's doing in Action Comics. So, going into this book, I'm really hit and miss about Grant Morris. But he has pulled me back, and I was on the edge of just dropping this whole entire series because I felt like I didn't know where the storyline was going up until the last issue with the storyline of Damian as Batman. That whole issue just brought me back and made me go, okay, I'm going to finish out this series with Grant Morris until the very end. And I know I only have to go to, issue number 12? And then the series will be all done. Grant Morris will be all done with DC Comics. And then hopefully they'll just cancel the book and maybe get an Outsiders book, because that'd be really cool to see. So let's jump in to see what's going on in this issue. we see in the very first panel is Batman in his Batmobile racing to the scene where the Batman Inc. characters were in just this big old explosion. And you see Batman, and he doesn't have his cowl on. And it's really cool to actually see this panel of him just driving in the Batmobile without his cowl. And you see him get out of the car, kind of just, try to fix his cowl, and going and talking to Commissioner Gordon. And he basically just tells Commissioner Gordon, you get all your guys back. I am going to deal with this. And you see these army of bat robots just come down. And you're just like, oh god, I just love this panel right here where you see them all coming down and you know that Batman's just going to kick some ass. And you just see Batman just right here with this whole army of robots. And I'd never seen these robots before, and seeing them now, they just feel so intimidating. And you know that Batman has been fed up with what the Leviathan group has been doing, and he is ready to just kick some ass. And it's just so exciting just from the first couple pages, and you know that you're going to be in for a fun time. And then you see Talia basically playing a little game with Bruce, and it's just so freaking cool. And basically Bruce just tells Talia, he's like, I came alone just like you asked. And as you see him say that, you just got all these massive robots all around him. You're just like, did you really come alone, Bruce? Did you really? And as she's taking him through these pictures and just asking him, what do you think about this? And just playing head games with Batman. There's a point in there where you see Batman on the top on one of the paintings, and it's basically like a bullet point pointing towards him as you see the Leviathan group right there ready to just waste Batman. And just seeing Chris Burnham's art on here is just so goddamn beautiful. And yes, I will say goddamn with the Batman because he's the goddamn Batman after all. It was funny though on Facebook that today they asked, one of my friends asked, who would win, the Hulk? Would anybody beat the Hulk? And I was like, yes, somebody would, and it would be the goddamn Batman would. So we see Batman just kicking some major ass, and there's this one page where it's just Batman looks so freaking long in this panel. You're just like, okay, that looks a little bit off, but it's pretty damn cool. And then you see some of the points, and then you go and actually see Tim Drake and all the Robins basically talking about what's going on. And Talia basically does what the Joker did and gets to the communication of all the Batman Inc. characters, and she's able to talk to them. But Batman does not know this. So as he's talking to Talia, and everybody is hearing it, and it's so cool. Talia basically tells Batman, here's the ultimatum. I will destroy Gotham, or you can destroy your son. It's either or. Who do you love the most? Do you love Gotham or do you love your son? And I just love this mind game that she's playing with Batman, and you just feel the tension every single panel as she's talking about this. She's like, I don't care about Damian. Damian was just supposed to be pieces for Ra's al Ghul to put his soul into him and for him to live even longer. He was just a tool for my ultimate goal. But in the end, he picked you. And who would you rather have? Would you rather have your son or have Gotham? You cannot have both. But knowing this Batman, he is going to choose. He's going to be able to get both. But it'd be interesting though, because I'm convinced that this has nothing. This is like almost. It has nothing to do with what's happening in the New 52, and it'll be just really cool to have it almost like an Elseworld type of story, where he does have to choose between Gotham and his son. It's just such a cool issue. There's so much cool action, and there is a point in there where the art does change artists, and it gives into Andres Guinaldo, and the way he does his art is almost like he's trying to mimic Chris Burnham, but in a way that I think is there's just definitely some talent there, and I would love to see what he would do else in any other book. Maybe it'd be really cool for him to go on and do some art with Batwing, because Batwing right now has guest artists on there. It'll be cool to get maybe this guy on to Batwing and just see a little different flavor for it. So, in the end, this was an issue that was just so much action, so much intense moments that you just basically couldn't catch your breath. But the bad part is, though, is that the art does change, and I definitely see that as a negative for any issue where they have two artists on there. But the other artist, he does a really good job, and the colorist on there does the same type of job that he did with Chris Burnham's art, so it definitely didn't have that hiccup that most comics do have. But there definitely was that, and this is definitely not new reader friendly. If you're going into it for the first issue, you're not going to know what's going on. This issue, Grant Morris is just writing for the people who've been reading this series basically since Volume 1 or Volume 2. If you haven't picked up this series, do not pick up with this issue. You will be lost, 100%. But if you want a really good time and you've been reading the series, you know that this issue is really good. This series keeps on getting better and better with each issue, and I cannot wait to the climax of the end. And hopefully with that climax, it'll be the end of the whole entire series. But just know that this issue right here is really fantastic. This is really good Grant Morris. And you can see why that he just has this massive following of fans who love every single type of work he does. And then you see the other ones where they're like, really, Grant Morris, you're not all that good, or not as good as you could be all the time, like he is with Action Comics, in my opinion. But then I go and look at the stuff that he did with All-Star Superman, where you're just like, oh my god, that's like the best Superman story that was ever told. So in the end, Batman Incorporated, issue number 6, gets a fantastic 4.5 out of 5.